Good morning. Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe, where we made it to the middle of the week. Yay!
Oh, wow, yeah.
We should celebrate that already. And Ed Greer is here to do it with us.
Hey, guys.
That's true. Ed is like my calendar. It's like, oh, yeah, it's Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Hi, Wednesday. It's Ed today.
Yeah, I like to be a signpost.
That's how I know. That's literally how I know what day of the week it is.
You
Spencer
can't
Gilbert
spell
is
Wednesday
here.
without Ed.
Much to the chagrin of many kids learning to spell.
Dan Murrell.
Hello.
Spencer Gilbert.
Yo.
We have so many trailers to
my
talk
God.
about. We weren't here yesterday.
Take one day off and they
And
release every
just-
trailer.
We got Spider-Man, we got Spider-Men and women, Transformers, Lego Movie, much, much more. We have the most important trailer that's come out in the last 2 days. We'll discuss that last, starting with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This is the animated film coming from Sony, in which Miles will meet a version of Peter Parker. You saw all this in the trailer, and Spider-Gwen, Gwen Stacy, and together they will do battle with the Prowler, who's played by Mahershala Ali, and the Kingpin, who is Liev Schreiber. Green Goblin will turn up as well.
Voiced by...
I don't know, actually, who's Green Goblin voiced by?
Himself.
Himself?
They got him.
They just got the Goblin. Yeah. Okay, it's the Goblin
Yeah.
as himself. Miles is Shamik Moore. Peter Parker's Jake Johnson. Gwen Stacy is Haley Steinfeld. Very exciting. This is a long-awaited, much-anticipated film. It's from a screenplay by Phil Lord, which we love him,
Yeah.
right?
This looks great. The
Thoughts?
animation looks so cool.
The animation is what really, because they had like a teaser, a while ago, and you saw some of it, but like seeing how they're gonna render this thing and how they're presenting it, it's like kind of like a motion comic, but not in that kind of stiff way that sometimes they do. The idea of like the text bubbles popping in and freezing a frame every once in a
More
while.
of a storyboard that kind of with a Ken Burns effect than a real animated movie. But
Yeah.
this looks legit.
Yeah, no, that's really what I was taken by, was just how visually strikingly, because it would have been easy to just do an animated movie that looks like every other animated movie, and it's probably still would have been cool with the subject matter, but I love the comic book way that they're kind of rendering this movie. It seems like that really appeals to me.
Yeah. Here's my daily Billy and I were talking on the drive in. And as a comic fan, he was really, really excited by sort of the polls they were taking from that. How about you, Ed? Thoughts, feelings, emotions?
I think no. I think overall it's very, very positive. I believe that the story that they're trying to put into this movie is one that's almost like we're spoon feeding people. Hey, there's multiverse of Spider-Man. It's okay for other people to be Spider-Man. It's cute. It's okay. Here you go. Here's your baby food. You know what I mean? And I think that that's good. I think that they're not trying to shock the system, because I really thought when they first released the trailer that they were just going to go, boom, it's Kid Spider-Man, deal with it. And boy, the chat rooms, we were going to blow up on that. But I feel like they're easing you in. They're saying like, hey, there's multiple Spider-Man. It's okay. Da-da-da-da. So, I mean, they're doing us a service by spoon-feeding people the concept of the multiverse of Spider-Man.
That bit of VO, that kind of like moment of exposition at the beginning of the trailer, do we think that that's just in the trailer, or do we think that's also in the movie?
I could see
It's a
them
little
throwing
fourth
it in
wall
there.
breaking. He's talking to the audience, essentially.
Yeah, but I think that it's in a larger sense as well. You kind of have to acclimate the audience to the fact of like, I could see it being in the movie just to be like, listen, we're not radically reconstructing the Spider-Man universe as you know it. This is a completely different Spider-Man universe.
And he seems to be kind of trapped. I like that Peter, it seems that he's having a multiverse adventure. You could think of this as a Peter multiverse adventure running into multiple versions of himself, but we get a lot of one of the Spider-Man that he runs into, the one he takes a liking to. I kind of love that aspect of it. Like, I'm a stranger in a strange land. Now, this burger is hella good. The molecules must be slightly different.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this back to my lab. Oh, do you have any money?
Yeah,
that sort of
have any
thing.
money, yeah.
Oh, it's a multi-dimensional burger. I didn't pick up on that. Okay, cool. Yeah, it seems like a cool... they're definitely doing an origin story for Miles, which is, like you said, necessary to spoon-feed people into the multiple Spider-Mens. I actually don't know. Is his dad like... Well, actually, I don't want spoilers. I actually don't want spoilers for this.
I don't. I read a little bit of the Miles run, but I'm not like Miles expert.
Yeah, they seem to have like a really sweet father-son relationship, but then Peter seems like the mentor, which makes me worried that the dad is Uncle Ben. Don't spoil it for me, but after just that "I love you, Dad" moment,
You just foresee death coming.
I just foresee death.
Yeah,
There
bad
were
things
good
happen after that.
jokes.
yeah, solid jokes.
Yeah,
I
it's funny.
didn't get that from the dad actually. I more felt like that the dad was just disconnected from what was going on with him, and that Peter's the default mentor because he's also Spider-Man.
The good cop, bad cop, if you will.
Yeah, well, or the like
Dad doesn't like Spider-Man.
or that Peter helps him, Miles, sort of appreciate his dad more, because clearly his dad's got his shit together, and Peter absolutely does not, as he's getting down on that burger and has no money to pay for it. Do you always wonder what food would taste like in a different dimension?
Almost never.
Well, I worry about how food would taste with super heightened senses. Like Daredevil, if someone farts in an elevator with Daredevil, does he
God,
just
that's
pass out?
brutal.
Like, is he dead?
Yeah, but then if something's really delicious, then what happens? He's also
pass
out?
paralyzed with pleasure.
With pleasure.
Well, that's the trade-off. He could go to strip mall Chili's and have a great experience because his taste buds are so awesome. He can heighten
he can
something.
taste the freezer burn and like every single little like nitrate they add. Is like, oh.
Anyone can go to a strip mall Chili's and have a great experience.
that's
It's
true.
one of our finest chain restaurants.
Yeah, and it just depends on your point of view going in. There was a movie with, not a movie, there was that TV show with James Franco in which he went back in time. Tell me the name of that, on Hulu.
Oh, it was
On
like a
Hulu.
date,
It was a date. It was 1963.
1963, yeah.
Was it 1963? Anyway, I remember thinking the minute he goes back and he stops in a diner and he has a burger, I immediately was like, I bet that burger's so good because the just meat is better and all the food was better before. And immediately he talks about how good that burger was. So see that? Food would be better in a different dimension. So saith I. And I think that's the most important thing that we've taken away from this into the
Trailer,
trailer. This looks like I think it's analysis. What's the most important part of that trailer, Robot?
The burger, obviously.
The burger, obviously. I think it looks great. I'm pretty excited to see it. It's interesting to have this in the middle of the Spider-Man that we already have in Tom Holland. Do you think we'll see a live action, Miles?
I think this is the stopgap, or I think this is this is what would happen if we don't do one, because they'll say that Miles can live in this universe and have mad movies. If this movie makes a bunch of money as an animated feature, that's nuts.
But on a long enough timeline, every character will appear in a live action Marvel.
That's
movie.
true.
yeah.
In 10 years, Miles Morales will probably
Guaranteed.
be Spider-Man. Tom Holland's
Anyway.
going to grow up, as people do.
They
and,
don't. They
you're
don't
gonna
if they're
have-
cartoons.
Well, yeah, not if they're cartoons.
That's a great point.
Analysis.
Analysis.
You're welcome. This is the sharp analysis that you've come to expect from Screen Junkies News, burgers, and aging. Another trailer that came out yesterday. Do we have more on that? Do we feel complete?
I think
Yeah.
we've
I
think
analyzed
we did it.
literally every
Yeah.
aspect.
Yeah.
Looks good. We're into it. Thumbnail picture. Mortal Engines, the trailer for that was also released yesterday.
It's going to be one of those days.
All day long. I can promise you that this attitude is going to carry all the way till 6:30 tonight when we go home. Peter Jackson is producing this film from his longtime protege, Christian Rivers. Christian Rivers, we talked about this in a set visit report that Joe and I did. I visited the set in New Zealand about a year ago. And one of the more interesting parts about it to me, we'll talk about our impressions of the trailer, was that Christian Rivers basically sent Peter Jackson very early into Jackson's career, like his first or second movie, a fan letter. And he was in school at that time. Just sent him a fan letter with like pictures of dragons and was like, hey, if you ever need somebody, I'd love to come work for you. Came to work for him. Peter Jackson actually then reached out to him. He was his storyboard artist for many, many years.
It's been good dragons.
They were great dragons, from what I understand. These were really, really. In fact, I think the Game of Thrones dragons may be based on that. That is not a fact. And then he sort of moved into different departments. He ended up winning an Oscar for Kong for visual effects. He did some of the second unit shooting on The Hobbit after Andy Serkis left and things like that. And here he is in his first big-time directorial debut. So that story of their relationship is actually pretty interesting to me. But what did you guys think of the trailer?
Definitely impressive effects. Big CGI cities rolling after each other. People flipping all over the place. I like a light dash of steampunk in my breakfast cereal.
So one word they don't want us using.
Oh, really? Well, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
It's Victorian machinery.
Yeah.
I only have so many words in my vocabulary to describe those things. Whatever. I didn't get the memo. It looks cool.
That's the word
I'm sorry, it looks cool.
That's the word I was going to use too, so I guess I can't use that word either. I was going to say
wow.
steampunk dystopia, dystopia, but I guess I can't
it's
say
definitely
that.
not dystopian. It's not
It
dystopian. It's not.
Is that a utopia? You want
Yeah,
our
that's a
city to
utopia.
drive?
God damn it.
A utopia of Mad Max
I'm
cities
sorry.
fighting each other.
It's a paradise where people kick people down tubes in our rolling cities to our uninhabitable earthly land. It's a wonderful paradise where all of that
Having
happens.
been on the set, analysis, clarification. The visual aesthetic is archaeological in nature, meaning there was this event called the 60-Minute War, in which everything is pretty much near annihilated. And then this is 1,700 years later, and they're basically figuring out what humanity is based on what's left. And so they don't understand what things are. Like there's an evolution of cell phones, and there's a big library that has the history and things like that. And then two is that they actually aged up the characters so that it wouldn't necessarily be in the YA category, and they could be more mature adults. And then three is just their take on it is that it's more colorful, brighter, more optimistic than a dystopian. Which is like, this is how effed the world is. It's about how the world is coming back from something that was completely effed, instead of just
Yeah,
that
look,
it
no
is.
one's going to confuse what we just saw with like the Maze Runner or the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But whatever, it looks cool.
Yeah, CGI. Bumblebee was also released. Speaking of heavy CGI, the latest in the Transformers. This is a prequel that takes place in 1987, in which Bumblebee meets Haley Steinfeld, who's, I guess she's the MVP of our day. She's just in the things today. So he is seeking refuge in a junkyard in a small California beach town, and he meets Charlie, played by Haley Steinfeld, who is on the brink of turning 18 and trying to find her place in the world.
The edge of 17, if you will.
If you would. Yeah, exactly. I wish they just would have done it.
Yeah, is this a
Why not evoke
sequel
a
to
really
that?
great movie of hers? John Cena is also in this movie, which makes me happy. This is directed by Travis Knight of Laika, and written by Christina Hodgson. So I think we all know how we all feel about the Transformers franchise. Yeah? Yeah. Are we all clear on that? What do you think? Do you have any optimism about Bumblebee?
Let me tell you, Bumblebee
Okay.
Bumblebee has the most story, logic, and emotion in that entire franchise. And I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about that trailer.
Yeah.
Has more story,
It told a complete story.
logic, and emotion than anything I've ever
Starscream.
seen in the Transformers franchise. My list of my favorite Transformers movies is now Michael Bay's movies 2 through 5, Bumblebee trailer 1.
Wow.
So it's already winning for me. It's already coming out of the gate strong in that we've seen great trailers or even good trailers for bad movies before. So
That's
I'm not
the
gonna,
thing
I'm not gonna make a judgment on the movie, but that trailer is already my favorite.
It is a good
live-action
trailer, but
Transformers
I'm
thing.
sorry I've been burned too many times, and even the Transformers franchise
But it's not
would
Michael
keep.
Bay.
I don't care. I'm just saying the trailers would pull me back in every time, just enough to be like, well, okay, maybe
makes-
this one's cool.
I want to unpack why those trailers pulled you back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, when they had the dinosaurs and like, okay, Mark Wahlberg's in it now. I
With
don't
the
know.
Boston accents from
It was all,
Texas?
but they never said he was from Texas until you saw. Regardless, this obviously looks good, but I'm just one of those dogs that's just been hit, and just like when someone goes to pet it, like with a Transformers movie, I go to the back of the cage.
Oh, okay. He's whimpering in a pile of his own urine after watching this trailer. How do you feel, Ed?
I feel like I'm in a kennel and I'm trying to adopt Spencer. I'm trying to get him to trust me. I'm doing my hand like this. He's
Yeah.
going to sniff it and stuff.
Do you have a
But,
little treat?
Hey, I got a granola bar in my pocket. The dogs and screenwriters like granola
I've had my
bars.
shots. Yeah.
This is my thing about this. I really believe that a hard left turn, as it were, in this franchise could be really brilliant. You know what I mean? Smaller personal stories with Bumblebee. Like Dan said, Bumblebee as a character, even amongst these execrable movies, has a lot of story. He always bonds with some little buddy. He always has a little short round. You know what I mean? He's that guy. Of the Transformers, he's the guy who gets closest to a human and is able to have these sort of stories. So it's late, but hey, it's here.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. If I had never seen a Transformers movie before and I saw that trailer,
Dude.
that would make me excited about what they were going to do with Transformers.
Yes.
Or at least make me interested in how they're going to ground it a little bit. So apart from the fact that this movie makes absolutely no sense, its existence makes no sense, and the continuity of the movies as presented, I'm going to discard all that. whatever.
Yeah.
This is its own movie. And the trailer for this movie actually makes me say, maybe this will be good.
Because is this a prequel for the Michael Bay universe Bumblebee
I mean,
that we all know and tolerate?
It's yeah, it's a prequel. But here's the thing that's always given me a sense of optimism about this movie, and I dislike the Transformers franchise more than anybody, probably. Like, I dislike it a lot.
Okay.
Dan, you can take the crown if you want.
Not anybody.
Look, there's
I will movie fight you over who hates Transformers more, and I will win.
Coming up Thursday. We'll see who wins, buddy.
I wrote and performed a guide to hating the franchise, Roth.
There is one person, if you gave me one opportunity to fight club someone, it would be Michael Bay. I freaking win. Flippin', frolicking, win. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
fudging.
If I could say one last thing about it, the thing is, he is also, as far as an action film, even as an action film, all this beautiful story aside, as an action film, this has an opportunity to be a way better action film than anything Michael Bay did. The reason why you love Die Hard, you watch it at Christmas with your Chinese food or whatever cliche thing you do, the reason why you do that is because John McClane has glass in his feet and one gun, and he's against 18 well-trained guys who have the whole area locked down, and the cops can't help him. No one can help him. In that way, Bumblebee's punk ass with Starscream trying to kill him with missiles and guns and stuff. I'm a VW bug. There's a jet coming to whoop my ass. You got me as an action fan there. Just all the story and stuff is, like some whipped cream.
It was frighteningly comprehensible on screen what was happening.
Oh,
Not used to that.
Starscream?
I could actually tell who was who.
Didn't we squeal Starscream?
Sorry, Roth.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. Travis Knight. Yeah, Leica. He's a person that knows how to tell stories with these kinds of effects, with creatures that are not human. He knows how to humanize those that are not human. Be they ghosts, be they box trolls, be they machines. Coraline. I mean, this is a really great storyteller. So to me, if they've given him the ability to do that, great.
I agree.
I feel like that brought down the vibe with Travis Knight.
Well, I'm just still not sold. I still don't think that it's a cool trailer, but let's just leave it at that before we're burned again.
Yeah.
Well, if a competent filmmaker makes a movie, or a 14-year-old boy with a bunch of dope camera equipment makes a movie, there's going to be a qualitative difference. So I agree with Roth that a real filmmaker and also a feminine slant. I'm not saying that Christina Hodson would write this movie any different than a male, but she's probably going to write this movie different than a male in a good way. And I think
than your
cool.
Roberto Orsi's or Kurtzmans and Orsi's of the world.
The fact that, I'm sorry, Roberto Orsi and his homies and Akiva Goldsman.
Yes, that's
I'd
what I was thinking.
fight them. Literally
How many chances do people get?
I know.
If you look at on volume, it's like apparently in the screenwriting community, you write one good movie and 47 bad ones.
Get the guy who will do anything we tell him to. Yeah, that's right.
And the one that believes in every conspiracy under the sun. Poor Orsi, I kind of feel bad for him. He went to a dark conspiracy theory place in his life. Yeah, it was really intense.
Was it foisted upon him? He chose to go there.
Well, I mean, he's been spending the last decade in a universe where you can't trust toasters or cars. Of course he believes that the world has another layer. He writes robots in disguise all day.
The signs were there.
He co-wrote a Star Trek movie about Starfleet conducting a false flag operation.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course he's into deep conspiracy theories. Anybody who watched that half-ass remake of Wrath of Khan knows that he's into deep state conspiracy theories. That shouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah. Starfleet
it's all
is Tower
about
7.
Smuggling. Oh, God. We have to fake a war. Oh, don't get me started on. See, now I'm on Into Darkness, and that's a whole thing.
Go on.
That's a deep hole for me.
Star Trek.
Well, I think Roth has something light for us.
Yeah.
You know what? I do. If you like, actually, it looks like this took a little dark turn. So the optimism of the Lego movie instead finds us in fact, a dystopian reality in a Mad Max Fury Road style wasteland. But Emmett, played by Chris Pratt, just can't help but smile. And then, okay, so did you guys watch the trailer, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then they get kidnapped. Lucy gets kidnapped, Elizabeth Banks, to a far off land, which is in space, a galaxy where everything is musical. And Emin and his slowly dying houseplant has to save them. So that's the base premise of this movie. But I got to tell you, like, I loved that first movie. I feel some degree of optimism. They said producers Dan Lin and Chris McKay previously said that the film is going to explore the gender differences in toys and toy marketing. With the little sister from the first one is going to play a bigger role. That idea of how you explore that inside of this premise is what I am fascinated to see. Like, how does that come in?
It's interesting.
Right,
yeah,
man?
I didn't really see that too much in the trailer. I guess if you're looking close, yeah, it's firing hearts at people, which could be a sign. But yeah, are we still doing the in-universe, out-universe? Like, this is after like the toddler started playing and mixing up her toys with everything else. And
I think
Will Ferrell
so.
and stuff?
Yeah, and then that's what left the land decimated, and they have to rebuild. Is the toddler coming in with all of?
Yeah, I mean, Lego is a brand that can do this because Legos are unisex, right? They're not particularly gendered or whatever. So I think that this is actually a cool universe to explore, you know, building and people being able to build whatever they want, however they want it.
Well, I just watched that Netflix documentary series, The Toys That Made Us, and they had a whole thing about Lego. And it is true that there is obviously it's not that boys like to build and girls don't like to build, but girls were building with toys that weren't really like a girl building this fire engine. That's cool, but if she could also build with characters that look like her or look like they made toys that were more for girls that were like the same height, but they had slightly curvier faces, more appealing. You know, it wasn't so blocky, and being able to do that successfully, like, got them a lot of market share. That, Bionicle, a few things saved them from going out of business and becoming just somebody who's just getting ripped off for their patent as far as their blocks. So I think them taking that on in a story, and also, as you can see, the girl character from the other dimension that kidnaps people, she's basically saying, okay, so wait a minute, Emmett is the master builder, but you did all the kick-ass stuff in the previous movie? It's like, huh. And it's almost like Lucy realizes, I'm the hero of this movie, and this dude got all the credit. It's almost separating her away from the influence of his nicey nice. Hey, I'm a winner. I'm the champ.
But then he actually has to be the hero because he has to come rescue her. Twist. Dan, you play with Legos? That's it.
He builds and constructs Lego, singular.
I don't, play with them.
Every time I walk in the office, he has them all spread out on a mat, and he's just banging them together.
If you don't play with them, what's the point? That was the whole lesson of the first movie. You should play with them.
Well,
They're meant to be played with.
I have things. I buy Lego sets and I have them around my apartment. Different things, Simpsons stuff, Star Wars stuff.
Would you let your kid play with them?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna be like, you can't touch it. It's like, if you have kids, I'm not gonna be Will Ferrell I'm not, that guy. I'm not gonna craggle all my Legos together and put them on a shelf where the kids can't reach them. So yeah, but I'm with Ed. I saw that documentary on The Toys That Made Us. It was really great, for all the ones that they do. But yeah, I wonder if that's what they're going to do, if they're going to explore the fact that, because they were making girl toys, as they put them, and they were different sizes and different things, and they found that girls like, no, I want to do what they're doing, but and so when they made everything compatible to one size so that everyone could play with them, that's when that market opened up. So I wonder if they even are going to kind of address that part of the whole thing of just, like, oh yeah, no, it's because it makes sense. It's like you can definitely market different brands, and I'm sure there's advertisers that are saying like, this one works better in that market and that, but to have that division, I think, is where it's like, no, let everybody mix and match. That's what Lego's based on, the mix and match. Do whatever you want.
That's what gets a lot of resistance, is like basically going, oh, this is your separate but equal toy. Love it. You know what I mean? Nobody likes that. Nobody likes to be condescended to in that way. And I think that if they explore that aspect of it too, as far as like, oh, check out my strong female lead. Does she talk about anything other than the mission and her boyfriend? Well, no. Well, how strong is she then? Come on, what are we talking about? So I love the fact that this is trying to address some of those issues, but in a cutesy toy way, so it doesn't get all the,
and you
all
have
the
to imagine
Ghostbusters
it will be fun and amusing, like the first one, and
Yeah.
engaging.
I was a
and
little
heartwarming.
concerned, obviously without Lord and Miller steering it. Is there going to be a drop off? And then they had some changeover with the directors and everything else. From what I've seen, there doesn't seem to be much of a. You don't know until you see the movie, obviously, but first glances it seems to be in the same tone, and I chuckled a little bit. It looks cool, looks great, and so no red flags.
Well, the directors are Mike Mitchell, Trisha Gum. I don't know. The trailer looked good. I feel optimistic. I think that's they are completely divided in terms of both the marketing and the production of toys into there's the girl team and the boy team, and it's because frequently, and this is less so now, I know Target has made some moves in this direction. That's how the stores were dividing them. So it was kind of like a chicken and egg thing where everyone's like, well, you shot first, if you're gonna sell them that way. Do you like my mixed metaphors? Mm-hmm. If you're going to sell them that way, then we have to make them that way. But if you make them that way, then we have to sell them that way. So it's just going to be a little bit of a process, I think, to get past it. But then also there's ancillary kind of influences in the sense of, there was a writer on one of the animated X-Men series talking about which characters to introduce. And the executives also want to introduce characters that they think will sell toys. And they say, well, more boys are buying these toys, so we have to have more male characters. But then that again becomes cyclical, because if the female characters aren't there for the girls to connect with, then they're not going to buy them. So it's just, I think, going to take a few years to unravel all of it, but it's pretty interesting to watch. And if you can get that into an amusing movie with Chris Pratt, great. Here's my 30-second pitch based on what Ed just said for why all adult human beings are currently not men and women, children, but house cats. So we were talking about how kids play, right? And what kids play with and how they play is like how animals play. When there are cubs of lions, right, in the wild, they are attacking one another and rolling around, and it's all very innocent, but it's to teach them and to learn what they need to do as adults, which is basically hunt and kill. Mm-hmm. They're playing at hunting and killing, survival skills. So when you're a little kid, a little human kid, you're playing at the things that you're going to need to do as an adult, right? Like the school, the techniques, the survival techniques that you will need as a human adult. But the truth is, we're also in this insular bubble where survival just doesn't exist in the same way, that we just keep playing forever the same way a house cat continues to attack its toys as if it's murdering it, but it's actually just playing with catnip. Those are my thoughts on the Lego Movie. A Star is Born also came out today.
Nice diversion.
Tour de force.
I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole, but I'll talk about the Star is Born too. Whatever.
All right,
up to you, Rob.
We're house cats. I don't know. Do you have a refute?
I don't know what
just happened.
That was. So let's. Okay.
No, I think that we should have, if that is the case, we should have children's toys that reflect the current adult world. So they should just have little phones that don't do anything.
But they do.
I'll bet they do. Yeah.
They do.
And little office microwave easy bake ovens.
They do. Yeah. I mean, they have little phones, and they have all of the things that are the tools. I used to play Businesswoman. And I would take my mom's file of bags, and I was really busy, and I had a lot of appointments, and it was just hard to get a hold of me. So that's what we do. We play at the things that we think are going to be a part of our adult life, not really
Little
understanding.
Zayden is playing social media manager right now.
Yeah, exactly.
I played Ninja Turtles. Emin.
I mean, I also played spy
No.
and detective and stuff like murder mystery solver and policewoman and stuff. But my favorite was Businesswoman. What was your favorite?
Businesswoman.
Nice.
I feel that Spencer understood my premise about being house cats. That is what I maintain.
No, I feel as though, one last thing, I feel as though I understand what you're saying as well. It's almost as though back in the 1870s or something, kids would play with I'm a big chimney sweep. Actually, I am a chimney sweep. I'm playing to relax from being a chimney sweep all day. As a 6-year-old Londoner.
Yeah, they wish they could pretend they were chimney sweeps. I get you alarms down that chimney there.
Oh my God.
There's a bird's nest. I need you to get down there. You've been working for 18 hours. I don't care. Let go. Don't let go of that broom. You got another shift in a minute. I went Australian for some reason. The second part, I don't know why.
Do they still... if you guys know this, like if you have kids or little brothers and sisters, do they still play house?
They play sublet.
Yeah. They're
They play
practicing
Uber
for
driver on weekends.
What if someone play like subprime mortgage?
Yeah.
Like, I got kicked out of my house.
They play flip it.
Yeah. Flip it. Yeah. Oh, dude. Building little playhouses and showing them to
Jacking
other
it up.
kids. Talking about, I put this new sink in
man.
here.
We really opened
I
up
would have
the
played
living
Flip
space.
It. I would have played Flip It for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. My friend and I started a business called Little House Helpers, where we were like, we weren't smart. We would do like a load of laundry for like 50 cents or something crazy like that. But I went away to summer camp, and I was like, well, I came up with the name, so I feel like I should take 10% of the profits while I'm gone.
You did used to play business.
I played businesswoman. I didn't get that 10% though. She was not amused. A Star is Born is the upcoming musical romantic drama, most important trailer today, directed by Bradley Cooper, written by Will Fetters Cooper and Eric Roth. This is a remake of the 1937, 1954, and 1976 film. It's
Can't wait all
starring
this time.
Cooper and Lady Gaga. JT, I think, had my favorite response
Chappelle.
to this, which was, do you remember?
No.
What do you say?
You don't remember?
I wasn't here.
You
was
were
not
here
in the
because you
room.
commented on it. Like he was watching the trailer and who should be in it.
No.
Sam
Elliot.
Elliott, and then he went. Never mind.
Oh.
That's the word.
Oh yeah, he said Sam Elliott should be in this movie, and then Sam Elliott popped on the screen, holding Bradley
there he
Cooper's
is.
face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Toned
And
down mustache.
As
that's
much
fine.
as it looks like they're gonna
Raw
make out,
sexual
I don't want to
charisma.
disappoint us. I don't think they are.
No,
Do
there's a
you?
punch thrown shortly after this.
No, it's making a joke.
Do you see
I
two
know.
faces or
Or a wine glass.
that picture?
I was hearing Yanni. What were you hearing?
Something
That
very
was a
deep and
full
basic.
Laurel. So I'm guessing that you guys don't have much interest in this movie, but
I thought it looked good.
This is what, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it looked good. I think Lady Gaga is more than a plate of charcuterie on her dresses. She is actually a really good singer. If you listen to her stuff with like Tony Bennett, she's legit. So
think if you
as a
listen-
vehicle for delivering new like. Is this set the modern day, or is this the 70s?
It appears to be set. in
So
modern day.
it looks to me like it's really riffing off the 70s version, which was Chris Christopherson and Barbara Streisand.
Right.
Okay, so you know how everybody asked the question, what was the movie that made you love movies? It was A Star is Born, 1937. Janet Gaynor, A Star is Born for me. That movie I saw when I was really, really young. I used to stay up late watching movies with my mom, old movies, and I watched that one, and it just destroyed me by the end of it. It was so sad. So I love A Star is Born. I am still committed to the 1937 version as the best version to date, which very few people would agree with. They would go with the Judy Garland probably in 1954. But I'm admittedly really curious about this one. But they're riffing on the 70s one, it looks like to me.
Yeah, it's Cinderella with better music.
No, it's not.
I've never seen it, but it looks like he plucks. She's like chosen. She's like a chimney sweep equivalent of singer-songwriters.
Reductive pitches for 500, Alex.
Yeah, right. And and they sing songs together, happily ever after, right?
No, God damn it. That's not what
Well,
it is.
I can't
even
wait to see that
remotely. What about It's So Sad made you think that that's how that movie?
I don't want to go in spoiled, Roth.
No, it's not. It's about the whimsical, fickle nature of fame, partially, and identity. Go ahead. And love.
The thing that always, and I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing, I think it can be a bad thing, is the directed by, starring, and co-written by Bradley Cooper part, only because a lot of times studios will fall in love with these celebrity projects because Bradley Cooper's a big star, and he goes to Warner Brothers and he says, I want to remake A Star is Born. And they're like, well, you're Bradley Cooper. Yes, because you're Bradley Cooper. And then, they do what studios do with stars, which is never really give them any feedback and just let them do what they want. So it looks I'm intrigued by it, but I also at times, sometimes it's great. Sometimes a star, look at Rocky, look at Sylvester Stallone, knocked it out of the park. Sometimes a star can write and direct and star in a movie, and it's fantastic.
Sling Blade.
Sling Blade, great movie. Sometimes a star can write, direct, and star in a movie, and it is like the most misguided kind of vanity project imaginable. So I hope it's not that. That's the only thing that, like, if it was directed by, James Mangold or somebody, I'd be like, oh, okay. But the directed by Bradley Cooper is a little kind of like, I hope it doesn't go down the route of sort of, I wanted to remake Star Wars because I wanted to do it, and no one told me no. Which sometimes you come out of it going like, why did you do that?
Well, it's not like he doesn't have 3 movies to look back on for guidance. It's like you're doing Romeo and Juliet at this point.
Yeah,
like
really.
Yeah. He has a template that he can work off of.
And I like the unconventional casting. I like the idea of putting Lady Gaga in there. She has a fantastic voice, and I agree. People look at Lady Gaga and they think meat dress. They think
Really?
of her and the egg. And
I don't.
I think a lot of people look at Lady
a lot of
Gaga
people
and they think of
checked
her
out on them, yeah.
theatrics.
You think so?
And
I think she's amazing. I love Gaga.
she has a fantastic talent, but I think that a lot of her theatricality kind of overshadowed her talent for a while. I like that she's kind of in a very straight role here. And, again, casting guys like Andrew Dice Clay and Dave Chappelle could be brilliant and could not work. So I think it's risky, but it could be a risk that pays off. You never know. This could be it's a very Oscar Beatty type thing if they pull it off that could really make some waves.
If it's kind of delving into like what I just mentioned to Spencer thematically, that the movie's really bad, and using who Dave Chappelle and Andrew Dice Clay are as referencing who they are in reality to deal with the idea of fame and what it does to a person and like the dark side of fame.
Well, I think that's the reason why Dave Chappelle liked
I think so too.
Not to interrupt, but that's why Dave
No,
Chappelle liked the project. I think that's why he's attached. It's because he's on record as being like, I know why people go crazy. Yeah. I know why people go crazy. I know why Mariah Carey's nuts. Yeah. I know why XYZ person is nuts. I know why I'm nuts because XYZ happened. And the constant grooming, the constant, they're just looking at you all the time. And like Dave Chappelle being, a comedian, I've seen Dave Chappelle a billion jillion times. Seen him do 6 hours. Seen him do 3 hours. Seen him walk up and do 20 minutes real quick. And when the people flood the room to watch him as like a spectacle rather than a comedian, he just checks out and leaves sometimes. Yeah. Like he'll be on stage killing it for 25 minutes. But when everybody fills the room, like rushing out of nowhere, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Everybody rushes in to see the spectacle of Dave Chappelle. It's not comedy anymore. It's just them watching the Elephant Man. And he has to leave. Like, just imagine somebody dealing with that all day. So him reading something like this. And last thing I'll say, unconventional casting. This is super conventional casting almost all around. Bradley Cooper sees himself much like one of these Chris Christopherson types, just like a cool, rugged man who can do anything. He sees himself very much that way, I think. And Lady Gaga, as you were talking about, this was developed with and for Beyonce at one time. Yeah. And I think they realized that, A, Beyonce's hella busy and she's doing stuff. And B, she's a star, period. If Beyonce was serving coffee somewhere, they would be like, at least be in my music video. Right. You know what I mean? They would at least say that, right? Well, so Lady Gaga is a real talent and the Streisand of our time for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, but Beyonce, to your point, we talked about this before the show, they were developing this with Beyonce for a period of time. But yeah, it's kind of like she was the perfect person to be in Dreamgirls because having loved that play as a kid as well, she is so beautiful and so talented that there's no way, like she basically walks in. If Beyonce hadn't been raised to be a star, which she was, she would have walked into LA and 5 minutes later had a gig, right? Like some kind of gig. But Gaga, once you strip her away of all of that, is a beautiful in my mind, but like more, what is the word I'm looking for? Approachable beauty.
Yeah,
you know? It's less kind of. So she really is the perfect person because that character was always that. She was always like not the person that you look at and think you're going to be a star, but she's so talented that she does become one. She's an actress actually in the first movie, and then becomes a musician over time as the movie goes. But that's what it's about. It's about how that character, he is beaten down by fame, but he still wants to offer it to someone.
Well, it's like
that has
Lestat.
that desire. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Lestat, right? It's like, hey man, this sucks, and I'm so lonely. Now I got a buddy.
But then doing that makes it impossible. Then, well, I won't spoil a movie. I love A Star Is Born, and if you haven't ever seen it, I really highly recommend starting with that 1937 movie. I still love it. It's still my favorite version. I still think it's the most heart-wrenching version. But I'm assuming that we had 200% drop off the minute I introduced A Star Is Born, so that literally no one is watching this anymore, and I can say anything I want. So here it goes.
Bradley Cooper's car is a robot. Guys, Bradley Cooper's car is a robot. This is a prequel.
The star is Logan.
Oh, yeah.
Get it out, Dan. You got anything you want to get off your chest?
Well, it's nothing funny. It was just, again, I was just looking back, and the first 3 trailers we talked about, Spider-Man, Mortal Engines, and Bumblebee, I didn't realize they all come out the same week.
Yes.
So I'm sure all 3 of them will be huge successes.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, let's talk about
14th,
that.
18th, 21st.
That's like the battle royale between you guys.
That's right around the holidays, but even still, that's crazy.
Into the Spider-Verse is December 18th. Mortal Engines is December 14th. I don't know about that move. Bumblebee was December 21st. Lego Movie is on February 8th, and A Star Is Born is October 5th. So they stand a little better chance, but yeah, you're right. That is pretty stacked.
The studios have got to be praying for a Last Jedi, Jumanji, Greatest Showman situation, and even Greatest Showman and Jumanji needed way after the holidays to pick up all that money. That is a packed schedule, and I'm sure there's probably more that we haven't even talked about that are opening on those. It's just. Yeah, I don't get the strategy. I still don't get the strategy of just like we're going to stagger all of our blockbusters week to week to week to week to week to week to week when you have still months that are completely
something might
devoid
move.
of. I hope something moves, and I think it would be smart for something to not be there because it's like it's getting ridiculous. It really is.
I know we don't have time, but you guys should watch the trailer for is it The Old Man with a Gun or something? The Robert Redford bank robbing movie. Woo, that one looks good.
Yeah?
You guys see that?
I haven't seen that trailer yet.
I think it's called literally like The Old Man with the Gun. Fact check me on
like
that,
it's
Billy.
pretty prestige-y.
Oh, very
It looks
prestige.
prestige-y.
Like about a magician.
Old Man and the Gun.
Yeah. A Silent Robert Redford. Yes, please. The boat movie. What was the boat movie he did that was almost completely silent, where he was lost at
I'm
sea?
on a Boat by
Life
Andy
of Pi.
Samberg and
He was the tiger in Life of Pi.
All is
lost. Thank you, JTE.
Castaway. He was Wilson.
I will check that out. Any trailers you want to recommend?
I know you guys probably talked about it, but Upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
We saw
Upgrade's
it, actually.
trailer is
Yeah.
great. I haven't seen the movie, obviously.
Don't watch the trailer.
Don't watch the trailer for Upgrade. Actually, we're gonna contradict you because I went into that movie knowing as little as I could about it, and it was a great experience.
Well, I mean, the stuff
way.
that I learned in the trailer, that got me into it actually, because I think I might have been like, ugh. When people try to do action with like $4, sometimes it makes me mad.
Yeah.
It's not that.
It's not that at all.
However,
cool.
I will say that the trailer gave away way too much.
It gave away some of the great moments.
So yeah, don't watch the trailer for Upgrade.
I
won't watch it again.
I saw the trailer, got into it, but luckily I have the memory of a goldfish, so I'll be basically going in blind.
Yeah, no, that's lucky for us in terms of like just day to day. We get along really well as a result of that.
Go see whatever trailers are playing in front of Hereditary.
Yeah, go see that. Go see Hereditary this weekend. Yeah. Dan and I are going to keep repeating. You know when I finally saw the trailer? I saw the trailer for Crazy Rich Asians, which looked hilarious, and I am delighted and excited to see it. We are going to say again and again and again, your homework, your fun work this weekend is to go watch Hereditary, because we are going to have a spoiler review, and this is definitely the kind of movie that you're not going to want to get spoiled on. You're going to want to talk about it with your friends like us. So we are going to be here to do that with you. It's great. Really go see it. This is one of the best movies I've seen so far this year in a number of ways. I think you will all enjoy it. You can also watch the Honest Trailer commentaries. And as mentioned earlier, we have a set visit report from Peter Jackson's latest available for you. And tomorrow is Movie Fights. It is the Honest Trailer Writers Rematch. Definitive winner this time. Spoiler alert, it's going to be one of them. No, it'll be Joe.
Yes.
I don't know what it'll be.
Wow. Joe won the last one.
No, Joe won the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, didn't he?
Well, technically it was a tie.
Yeah.
But we didn't have time to figure out what the tiebreaker was, so Joe just won by default.
Cool.
I mean, yeah, Joe won.
Well, now I'm rooting for Joe. How about that? Who are you rooting for?
I'm not rooting for anybody. I honestly, I want to come check you guys out. I think I'm gonna come chill out and watch it.
Should be fun.
Do you have anything you want to tell the people to see and watch with you?
Oh, with me that I'm doing?
You.
Yeah. Follow me on on Twitter and stuff like that at Ed Greer Destroys, Twitter, Instagram. I'm gonna start putting up more of my art. I'm doing a book, female-driven action book that I'm bringing out called Furies that I'm doing on, and a Nerd Goat podcast. You can listen to me and my friend talk about the greatest fictional characters of all time with people who are just like Dan. What Dan's favorite fictional character of all time. That's a deep dive, great discussion, especially with me and another comedian. So that's what the Nerd Goat podcast is, and I would love for people to listen to it and follow us on Twitter.
Well,
at
Spencer
Nerd Goat
and I
Podcast.
are duly insulted. Thank you guys for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow.
I invited you, Roth.
I haven't even gotten invited. You got an invite. I didn't get an invite.
Yeah.
JT's just going to keep hanging on us. Let's talk about our feelings. I have so many feelings to talk about. One is anger, and the other is pain. The third is sadness.